I've been thinking. I've been thinking about everything. Very interesting season I'm in right now. Everything was for a purpose. I've been thinking about why did God send me to this church and then that church and then I went to this other church and now I'm thinking about it and I'm thinking it was all for a purpose. God sent me to a Presbyterian church that was the pastor was about to prepare the church to put me as the next pastor. And then what happened was that the church found out I was not a liberal, that I was conservative, and that I did not believe the same kind of theology that they had. They had some theology that it was okay to pull pronouns out of the Bible, and that homosexual marriage was okay, and that, God doesn't care if you live a sinful lifestyle. You got Jesus, so who cares if you live a sinful lifestyle? Which is very contradicting from what the Bible says. And so actually, I rebuked that church and I moved on to the next church. The next church was around the corner. It was a young guy. The guy was like 35, and the pastor was 35 years old. And I was calling on this pastor. I was like, dude, you're the youngest pastor in Northwest Wisconsin. Let's do something to reach young people for Christ and get them involved in the church. And he just did not want to. And but I remember I went to his church one time, and he didn't really know what the church believed. He was reading the mission statement off the website during the service, but on the actual website it said, "We don't know what we believe, and we don't care what you believe. Just come on in." And to me, that's a huge red flag if a church does not know what they believe. And if the pastor does not care about reaching people for Christ. So I left. I didn't go back to that church ever again. And that pastor is actually no longer pastoring that church. And then I went to another church. And by the time I got to the third church, I thought to myself, I'm not going to say nothing to no one. I'm tired of. There was a church 2 years, no, a year before I went to the Presbyterian church, I went to another church. And the pastor said that the angels helped God create the heavens and the earth. And so by the time I got to the fourth church up here, um, I just decided I'm going to sit in the back, not talk to nobody. I'm burned out. I'm tired. I have no idea why God sent me here. And I'm not looking into trying to get to know these another pastor, or hear something else that I don't. I just want to hear a nice little sermon and leave me alone kind of mentality. So I went to this church, and the pastor of this church preached a sermon on what was it, like the walls of Jericho. The people of Israel, they marched around the walls 7 times, and then the walls came down. The pastor made a comment saying, by the time they marched around the walls 6 times, they probably were tired. They probably wanted to give up and quit. But they decided to go around the wall one more time. And when the pastor said that said that in the message, I thought to myself, man, YouTube. I've always wanted to get my YouTube channel to be something real. And so what I did was I went back home that day. I went back on YouTube and I thought, how can I make this channel just explode? And I changed the name of the ministry. It was Jesus Alone Saves. I changed it to Grow Your Faith. And then I put the YouTube channel as Grow Your Faith with Keith. And I just started a Bible study through Psalms. And I'm actually still going. I'm finishing up Psalms right now. That channel, I had like 80 people on there when I started. I was about to delete the account because I wasn't doing nothing with it for like 10 years. It's just been stuck at 80 people. And I thought there's no way I'm ever going to make it on YouTube. And because that pastor said that, I went back, I restructured the whole ministry, the name, everything. And I started the book of Psalms. And I'm on day 155. That channel has over 10,000 subscribers on it. 6 months ago, it had 80 subscribers. All because that pastor, Pastor Jason of the Word of Life Church in Phillips, Wisconsin, he said the people of Israel walked around the walls 6 times. Or the armies of Israel, they marched around the wall 6 times. And they didn't stop. They went one more time. They obeyed God. And I thought to myself, I'm going to go around one more time and see what happens. And the YouTube channel just went flying. And so I changed the entire name of the ministry, Grow Your Faith. Twitter, Facebook, and then I registered Grow Your Faith LLC, which is it's an online store. You can view it on my YouTube channel. So now I have a whole ministry and a business called Grow Your Faith. All because that one preacher. But then there were some theological differences, and then his church started to find out that I was a preacher, and they were following me on Facebook, and I was like, this is getting weird. And so I jumped from that church, and I just thought to myself, I'm not going back to another church. I'm done. And it had to do with theology. I had a difference in opinion with the theology of that pastor. I won't get into it. And then God started speaking to me and said, Keith, I want you to go back to Ogama Baptist. I want you to go reconcile with Pastor Price. I want you to go reconcile with all those people that you have those offenses with. And for months and months. And then finally I gave in. And I thought, I'm going to contact Pastor Price of Ogama Baptist Church. And so I go call the church, and he answers the phone. And I was like, and I told him who I was, and hey, can we meet up? And we met up, and we reconciled with each other. And now I go to that church. I go to Ogama Baptist. And then I reconcile with a bunch of other people too. Because there was a lot of hatred. And if you were following me on YouTube and Facebook, I was angry. I was like trying to do ministry, but at the same time, I was like, I had all this anger inside of me. And I went and I reconciled with everyone. And now the anger is gone, and I'm not angry about it no more. I'm not angry about nothing anymore. It's gone. It's done. God took that from me, but I had to go reconcile with those people. And but then I thought that it was going to be, it gets weird. My boss was going to that church. He started to take advantage of me. And so I jumped ship to another company. And I took another job to be a foreman with another company. And then it didn't work out. And now I'm unemployed right now. Or I got another job. They already offered me a position, but I've been out of a job for 6 weeks. When I resigned from that one company that I was working for, I went down to Texas, or I made it to Kansas, and God spoke to me. In Kansas, God spoke to me and said, Keith, I want you to go back to Wisconsin, go to the northwards, use the sling and the stones I have given you, and go and reach all of northwest Wisconsin for my name. And then I was in the hotel, and I could not sleep that night. I could not sleep. And when I woke up, it was like 5 in the morning. I woke up, and I was thinking to myself, do I just keep on driving to Texas? Or do I go back to Wisconsin? And I thought, I'm going to go back to Wisconsin. I'm going to go finish the work that I was sent to go finish. And so I drove back to Wisconsin. And when I got back, I started to look at the ministry again and think, what do I do? How do I do this? How do I reach all of North Wisconsin by myself? I'm just one person. And within a few days, I got the little blue check mark on Facebook. And I made a joke saying, oh, look, I'm a famous person now. Facebook gave me the public figure profile thing. And God is doing something. God is causing people to come and find me on Facebook. He's allowing these advertisements I have to go forth and reach people, and people are coming. God is doing something. When I took that job with that company, and when I started that company, right, I was in the Twin Cities, and God kept on speaking to me, saying, Keith, you can't do this job. You need to go back to Phillips, Wisconsin. And I kept on trying to justify, no, I'm going to keep this job. It's going to pay me a lot of money. I'm going to make a lot more money with this job than I did with the last job. And God kept on saying, Keith, go back to Wisconsin. I called you, Keith. Since you were a kid, since you were born, you were called out for this one purpose. I came from a line of Phillips. My grandpa, his name was Philip West. My dad's name was Philip West Jr. My name should have been Philip West III, but my mom got in a fight with my dad and they named me Keith. And God spoke to me. And then I had a little brother named, and they named him Philip West III, but that was with another woman. But God spoke to me and said, when I was in the Twin Cities, trying to get the foreman position, God was speaking to me saying, Keith, I called you out from the lines of Phillips for this one purpose. Go back to Phillips, Wisconsin, because I have a plan for you. This is why you were born. And then I came back for church, and there was a guest speaker preaching, and the guest speaker that was preaching was talking about all these men throughout the Bible, David and Elijah, and all these great men throughout the Bible that did great things, and how God used them to do all these great things, and they were insignificant people. And as that guest speaker was talking about all these great people in the Bible, I feel like God was speaking to me saying, Keith, you're going to do something up here. You're going to be the next Billy Graham or something. Like, I could feel God calling me saying, I got a plan for you. There's a revival coming. You're the one. So I quit my job, a good paying job, and I thought, I'm going to go back to Phillips, Wisconsin. I'm going to go find me a position. And I came back and I was getting these job offers to move across the country, across the state. And I was like, no, God wants me to stay in Phillips, Wisconsin. I know God is calling me to stay in Phillips, Wisconsin, but everything wants me to move. And then finally, I waited and waited and waited and waited, and finally the door opened for a few job offers in Phillips, Wisconsin, or in the area. But none of them were paying anything close to what I can be able to make a living with. And then finally I got a job offer back in doing locating for another company. Same thing I was doing before. And this time I know why God sent me to Wisconsin. And this time I'm going to fulfill the plan that God has for my life. Everything was for a purpose. God wanted me to see the heresy that was going on in the churches, and God wanted that one preacher to awaken my my desire to serve Him, because I was about ready to quit ministry. So that preacher at Word of Life Church, that one message changed the trajectory of everything. And then God wanted me to go reconcile with that family and with that pastor and with that church in Ogama, um, Wisconsin. And then God wanted that preacher to preach that sermon exactly on that Sunday to redirect me. So everything happened for a reason. Everything had a purpose. And honestly, I'm scared. I am. I'm scared, man. I don't want the spotlight. I really don't, man. That's one of the big reasons why I was like trying to get other preachers involved, man. Put the spotlight on them. I don't want the spotlight. Honestly, I just want to be an Uber driver in Dallas and make a bunch of money and just kind of like stay low. But this is what God has called me to do. And until I do it, I won't be able to sleep good at night. I wanted to share that with y'all. God bless you and have a great day.